A night out at O'Malley's pub was supposed to be just a way to unwind. But when I met Jake, everything shifted. His presence, his attention. It stirred something in me I hadn't felt in a long time. That night, I didn't just escape. I reawakened a part of myself. Want to know what happened when I let go and embraced the unexpected? Trust me, you'll be on the edge of your seat after this one. Subscribe now, because sometimes the right encounter is all it takes to remind you of what's been missing. Our place in Willow Creek was quiet. Too quiet. Mark and I hadn't spoken in days, and when we did, it was always an argument. He'd stopped looking at me like he used to. No affection, no tenderness, just nothing. It felt like walking on eggshells all the time. That night, after a particularly hurtful exchange, I grabbed my jacket, shoved my phone into my purse, and split. I didn't care where I went, just away from him, away from the silence that was suffocating me. O'Malley's was close, so I walked in, hoping to find some distraction. The dim lights and the hum of chatter didn't ease the tight knot in my chest. But the guy next to me at the bar? He sure did. He caught my eye immediately. Dark, intense, with a quiet confidence that made my pulse quicken. "You look like you could use a drink," he said, his voice low but smooth as silk. I let out a laugh, more out of instinct than humor. "You could say that." He smiled, and I couldn't help but notice the way his lips curved, his gaze lingering on mine in a way that felt like he was seeing me, really seeing me, for the first time in months. We talked, barely about anything important, but it didn't matter. I felt his presence, felt him pulling me in, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't feel invisible. When he leaned in closer, his hand brushing my arm, I shivered. "I could use some calm." "Painy tonight," he murmured, eyes locked on mine. I didn't hesitate. "I think I'd like that," I replied, the words tasting like both danger and freedom. His apartment was clean, neat, with a killer view of the hot Manhattan city lights that didn't matter at all. All I could think about was the way his hands had grazed my skin, how my body had responded to every little touch. He didn't waste time. The moment the door closed behind us, he pulled me into his arms, his lips finding mine with an urgency that took me by surprise. His kiss was deep but slow, savoring, exploring. His tongue brushed against mine, and I felt a surge of desire that I hadn't felt in ages. I melted into him, feeling the warmth of his body, the strength in his arms as they wrapped around me. His hands moved, sliding down my back, pulling me closer to him, pressing my body against his. I felt his heat, his firm muscles, and it was like a spark ignited inside me. I wanted him. Now. His lips left mine, trailing down my throat, nipping gently at my skin. Every touch, every kiss sent a rush of sensation through me, making me ache, making me crave more. I sighed, my hands reaching for the buttons of his shirt, desperate to feel his skin beneath my fingertips. His hands found my waist, sliding up my sides with a possessive gentleness that made my breath hitch. When he pulled my dress over my head, leaving me in nothing but my lingerie, his eyes darkened with desire. He took a moment to look at me, really look at me, and I could feel the hunger in his gaze. "You're stunning," he murmured, his voice low and thick with need. His fingers traced the curve of my waist, sliding over my skin, making me shiver. I couldn't hold back anymore. I wanted him to touch me everywhere. My hands reached for the button of his pants, and before I knew it, we were both completely undressed, the air between us crackling with tension. His lips found mine again, his kiss deep and insistent, and I melted against him, losing myself in the heat of the moment. His hands were everywhere, caressing my skin, pulling me closer, his fingers digging into the soft flesh of my thighs. I gasped as his touch moved higher, teasing the edge of my lingerie before finally slipping beneath it. His touch was like fire, sending waves of heat through me, making me ache for more. "Is this what you want?" he asked, his voice a low, teasing growl. His thumb brushed over the sensitive skin of my inner thigh, and I gasped, my body trembling beneath his touch. "Yes," I whispered, barely able to contain the desire that was building inside me. He didn't waste a second. His lips were on my neck again, soft kisses and gentle nips that had my pulse racing. His hands moved to my chest, gently teasing, caressing, making me arch into him, wanting more. I couldn't stop myself anymore. My hands reached for his shoulders, pulling him closer, needing to feel him, all of him. He responded immediately, his body pressing harder against mine. I could feel the heat radiating off him, his muscles firm and solid, and I wanted to be as close to him as possible. He lifted me effortlessly, and I wrapped my legs around his waist, feeling the hardness of his body against mine. My breath caught in my throat as he carried me to the bed, my body already on fire with desire. When he laid me down, there was no hesitation. I reached for him, pulling him on top of me, and finally, we were skin to skin. The feeling of him was overwhelming. Every inch of his body felt like it belonged against mine. He paused, his eyes locked on mine, as if asking for permission. I nodded, breathless, without a word. He moved between my legs, his body pressing down on me, and I gasped as he slowly entered, filling me completely. The sensation was intoxicating, overwhelming. He was so deep, so hard. I could feel every inch of him as he moved inside me. He kissed me again, his lips brushing over mine with a hunger that mirrored my own. Each thrust was slow, deliberate, as if he was savoring every moment, and I couldn't stop the sounds escaping from my lips as the pleasure built. As his movements grew more intense, I could feel my body tightening, the waves of pleasure beginning to rise. Every it of his body against mine, every deep thrust, pushed me closer to the edge. My fingers dug into his back, urging him on, my body begging for more. "God, you're perfect," he groaned against my ear, his voice rough and thick with desire. I couldn't reply, the words getting caught in my throat as I felt my body tighten around him. His hands moved down, grasping my hips, pulling me closer, encouraging me to meet him with each powerful thrust. His body felt so right against mine, his warmth, his strength, everything about him was everything I needed. And then, with one final deep thrust, the world shattered. The pleasure crashed over me, overwhelming, as I cried out his name, my body trembling beneath him, my whole body clenched around him as I came, every inch of me exploding with sensation. He didn't stop though. He followed soon after, his body shuddering against mine as he gave in to the release, his grip tightening around me as the wave of pleasure overtook him. We lay there, breathless, tangled together in the afterglow. My skin still buzzed with the lingering heat, and I could feel the way he held me as if he didn't want to let go. I was content, my body still humming with the memory of everything that had just happened. As I lay there in his arms, the world outside forgotten, I realized something. Sometimes you need to step away from what's comfortable to find what you've been longing for. Tonight, I found it in him. Lying there in the quiet, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Alive. In the midst of the confusion and silence I'd been living with, I had forgotten what it was like to truly feel, to be desired and seen. That night, I didn't just escape. I rediscovered a part of myself I thought I'd lost. It wasn't just about the physical connection. It was about remembering who I was before everything became so routine. For the first time in ages, I felt free. Free to be myself, to embrace what I wanted without hesitation. And in that moment, I realized something important. Sometimes stepping away from the familiar is the only way to find what you've been longing for. Have you ever taken a chance when everything else felt like it was falling apart? Tell me about it in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe, because sometimes embracing the unknown is exactly what you need to feel alive again. Until next time, stay true to yourself, and take care.